Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first ever Star Wars podcast called Across the Galaxy. I am Dayton, your host, and this is my friend and co host.
Malachi, and today we will be discussing all the versions, or most of the more powerful versions of Anakin Skywalker.
I hope you enjoy this, and remember, too, we always want your input. So, in the comments section, always say, "You're wrong," or "Here's what you should change." We'll always take your criticism. Thank you, and here we go. So, the first one I want to talk about is Anakin version World Between Worlds. What do you think?
So I put him at second. I see you put him first. What was your explanation behind putting him in front, or in first, rather?
Well, so he's basically the infinitely powerful version of Anakin. He is between the worlds. He he can basically control the Force in a certain point of view. He is just basically immortal and he can use the Force and kind of reshape it. And you can, as you see in Star Wars Rebels, when Ezra Bridger was in between the worlds, he could create time and space itself. Like he could reshape it. He saved Ahsoka Tano, and he changed the entire universe by doing that. So, Anakin can do the same thing.
So I didn't know. I forgot about a lot of the stuff you just mentioned about the whole Rebels thing. Um, so he should probably. I don't know if he should be above full potential Anakin though, because the whole thing is like he can control the world of worlds. But it's like normal Anakin, except he's extremely buffed in that area.
Yeah, but
So,
here's the
you know,
thing
if
though.
you,
Full potential Anakin is actually really powerful, but but it just he has the potential of a human still. Like he can't exceed the expectations of the Force. But Anakin World Between Worlds, he is the Force.
wait, so he wasn't, you're saying he wasn't actually human in Ahsoka Tano, like when you actually see him for the first time in
Yeah,
between
because
World of Worlds?
that's not his natural, like that was his natural form before he died. That's just him. Dang, lost the word. But like I just he's like that's the form he chose to represent himself in that moment
Mhm.
because he wanted Sokka to memorize him, and we all know he went easy on her. Like he, if he
Well,
wanted to,
yeah,
she would have been dead in the first second.
well, normal Anakin would have beaten her, but,
Well, she
yeah, I
would have a
didn't
good fight
know
against
that
Darth Vader. She probably would have killed Darth Vader if it weren't for her attachment to him.
she would, that's a different debate.
Well, in Star Wars
Um,
Rebels, did you not see her destroy his mask, and she basically ran away after the hitting him hard?
Yeah, but it's Disney though. Or was it Disney? Yeah, it was Disney.
Yeah.
And Disney's view is like completely different because,
Disney's view, they, in my opinion, downgraded Darth Vader.
well, they made him look a lot cooler, but they made him weaker. Like,
Yeah.
that's seen in Rogue One and stuff where he ignites his lightsaber and it looks all sexy, but then like they
Okay,
made
but
him worse.
well, I saw a video where they were saying he he was aura farming because he turned off his entire chest piece, like his life support system, just to pop out of nowhere in the darkness because you can't see the lights.
Wait, he actually did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
Like
crazy.
there's aura farming over there.
That's funny.
So, what do you think about World Between
Anyways.
Worlds?
So if you look at it from the perspective of he wasn't actually mortal, then yes, I would have to put him in first. But I put full potential Anakin in first because full potential Anakin is basically unstoppable because he was created by the Force. He would literally be the Force
Full
at
potential
full
Anakin. Yeah,
potential.
Anakin was created by the Force. So
So I put him in second, or in first rather. And I am very confused because I can see Dayton's tier list, and he has full potential Anakin in fourth, which I can't begin to comprehend. So why did you put full potential Anakin in fourth?
Well, wait. First off, so World Between Worlds isn't first, right?
Yes, I will concede that. I didn't think of him as non-mortal.
So, full potential Anakin, he is really powerful. So so I actually downgraded him. He is stronger than Dark Dimension Vader, 100%. But Mortis Anakin, though, actually, he's probably second. Full potential Anakin, he probably second because that's his full potential. That is what the Force that's what the Force sort of wanted him to be. He basically
Yeah,
has the entire power of the Force. He's
yeah,
basically Luke
exactly.
Skywalker, full potential, doubled.
And he's definitely stronger than Dark Dimension Vader because Dark Dimension Vader, even though he was incredibly powerful and a very powerful, I guess Sith, technically a Sith could be called a Dark Force God, but he was still like, I don't know. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Doctor mentioned Vader.
Yeah, he was like really unbalanced. I remember. Like he was so the dark side is obviously unbalanced, but that particular version where he had came out of like that portal and was so filled with hatred and everything else, that was an extremely
Luke
unbalanced
Skywalker's
and
dimension. Like when Luke Skywalker went in that dimension, he beat Darth Vader. So he's
yeah,
still
but not Dark Dimension
unbelievably
Vader.
powerful.
He is still very powerful. He's just I don't think he's as powerful as Mortis Anakin or Full Potential Anakin.
I want to say this one thing. It's not really related to it, but I'm just sad, a little sad about how it turned out with Anakin because look at all these different potentials he had to become so powerful, and yet he became so weak. Like his
Yeah.
weakest form was stronger than most Jedi. Like there was so much in store for him, and I'm just a little sad how it turned out, but it was also kind of the right move at the same time.
So let's uh let's talk about well obviously I mean they made the story very well, like how they did the prequels. They did those very well, how they played up the storyline and everything else. But let's talk about Mortis Anakin for a little bit. So think
Wait,
about
so
Mortis Anakin.
I'll put full potential Anakin on number two. That's good, right?
Yep. So what do we have so far? We have
We have World Between Worlds Anakin number one and Full Potential number two, and that's called.
yep.
And then we talked about Dark Dimension, but let's finish him up after we go Mortis because I feel like that would change the
Yeah,
game.
Mortis will might matter for his placement. So the thing about Anakin on Mortis is do we count that as like a specific own version, or are we saying, they have a duel on Mortis? Like, for example, Dark Dimension Vader and Anakin on Mortis have a duel. Then
Dark
every
Dimension
time
Vader
Dark
would win.
Dimension Vader is winning that because he has the power of Mortis as well. Or are we saying, like, Mortis on Anakin essentially has the power up of Mortis, but he is, fighting someone who doesn't?
Here's how I'm gonna do it. So we're doing power level here. Anakin on Mortis is still powerful than Dark Dimension Vader, not on Mortis. So
Yes.
Anakin's power on Mortis is stronger than Dark Dimension power. So, but it'd be different if we put all of them on Mortis. But right now, Anakin Skywalker is the
Uh-huh.
only one on Mortis. So
So if he is the only
I say
one,
he's
he is the head of
dual,
Dark Dimension.
because basically he has the power to control the Sith and the Jedi.
Yes, because you see him essentially tame and kind of neutralize the daughter and son, which is the father's job. And the father in his older years couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
So the version of the father we saw, Annis Mordican, Annis Anakin Mortis, oh my goodness, I can't talk, is arguably more powerful than the father very late in his years.
Yeah, makes sense. But also, if Anakin stayed, he probably could have changed the entire Force as we know it. I feel like the dark side would have been basically almost erased. But at the same time, if Anakin stayed on Mortis, uh, a new chosen one would probably arise. Because the reason why Anakin was made, it was to destroy the Jedi to bring balance to the Force.
Yeah.
Because the Force
So
wanted, because there
what's
was too
our
many Jedi and not enough Sith.
yeah, and the Force was supposed to be balanced. Well,
Because back
originally
there was,
the
yeah,
whole idea
originally,
was for there to be neither Jedi or Sith.
yeah, like to them to be
That wasn't
equal.
supposed to be
But then
either.
I feel like it was the
Yep.
Jedi's fault because then the Jedi strayed away from the Sith and attacked them because there was an equal amount. The Force was still balanced, but at war. But then once the Jedi won the war, it was unbalanced. So it's the Jedi's fault. From a certain point of view,
Hmm.
the Jedi were the bad guys in the Force because they had the
Yeah.
most
So
power and they're probably most power hungry. So we
how
can
Star Wars, how Star Wars as we know it happened is there was one group of Force users called the Jedi, but the spelling was different. It was Jed and then AII. You said it. I think you say it the same. I'm not quite sure.
Jedi.
But to to split that, there was a group called the Sith that broke away that used a different side of the Force that's just neutral. So they knocked the Force out of balance. Well, then everyone else who didn't go to this new Sith group changed their name to the JEDI and created a Force to try and counterbalance the Sith, which would have still technically held the Force in balance. But all throughout Star Wars, one side's trying to gain power and take it towards their side, and then that is the whole Star Wars storyline up until Rey and all that stuff.
I so that's why, yeah, that's also why the Force Awakens happened, like the movie, because not Anakin, Luke created the Jedi Order again, and basically threw the Force off balance again.
Yep. So I guess you could technically, in modern canon, call the Jedi the evil guys.
Yeah,
All right. Anyway, we got off topic. So back to the tier list. I have World of Worlds, Anakin in first. Full Potential in second,
and
Mortis
then
Anakin in third, and Dark Dimension Vader in fourth. Is
yeah,
that
I
what you
agree
have?
because World Between Worlds is basically control the Sith and Jedi, and Dark Dimension is just basically in a separate dimension, but extremely powerful. And now time for a little controversy. I and
Yep.
fifth, we put Nightfall Vader.
I put Darth Vader.
Here's the thing with that though. Darth Vader is extremely powerful, but he's on life support. So basically so his entire system is hurting him and it hurts just to move. Also, Emperor Palpatine put a safety guide in the suit. If any lightning will disrupt the suit and
Force
basically,
Lightning.
yeah,
Yep.
or any lightning in general, like electricity, can cause the suit to malfunction.
So the
But it is
only
also a
time
big
that would
flaw.
really matter is if
It
he was
doesn't like,
fighting.
but also the suit is just hurting him, and it's basically 1,000 needles poking him at once, no matter where he goes.
Yes, but as far as the dark side goes, that's a good thing because it enables more pain and hatred, which only makes him more powerful.
Yeah, but that, it's hard to,
And
it's
when
hard.
he was Darth Vader, as far as force power goes, he was way stronger. His mobility was severely limited, but he was way stronger in the ways of the Force. So I think that additional, Force knowledge and Force experience would make up for the mobility.
I don't know, honestly, because Nightfall Vader though, he just, I don't know. His force powers aren't the it's
Once again, the best way I would actually know to figure this out is if you compared the uh, the duel from Obi-Wan from the series Obi-Wan with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and when you compare Nightfall Vader versus Obi-Wan. And it's not really that helpful because it still doesn't tell you which one would be more powerful because they both
It's
lost.
basically a hot take.
Yeah, essentially.
So
I think non-Disney Darth Vader would beat Nightfall
I
Vader.
think if we're doing force knowledge, it'd be Vader. But the force power, though, I still think it'd be Nightfall Vader.
Yeah, well, I think we're both have our mindset on which one's going to be which. So we could just leave that one alone and go ahead and move on to Star Star Wars: The Clone Wars Anakin and just normal General Anakin.
So we'll leave 5 and 6 open. 7, I put I
Okay,
regular Anakin. Actually, I put yeah, regular Anakin. Revenge of the Sith Anakin for 7.
and once again we hit another disagreement because I actually put Star Wars: The Clone Wars Anakin.
Well, here's the thing. It's basically the same person, but he has more knowledge in Revenge of the Sith.
I honestly think before his fall that maybe Clone Wars Anakin was better because if you look at Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the movie, Anakin and
Ahsoka.
Obi-Wan
Oh, Obi-Wan.
got completely owned by Count Dooku. And when you look at the fight with Count Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan in Star Wars, in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the TV series, they actually held their own,
Yeah, but
which
then
to
in Star Wars
me,
Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan got bodied, but
yeah, and Anakin beat him.
Anakin beat him. So if we were talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Clone Wars might have been better for Obi-Wan, but for Anakin, it's probably have to be Anakin's better than the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I guess so. I hadn't even thought about the duel in Revenge of the Sith. I completely forgot they fought there because
Yeah.
Count Dooku like shoved the metal tray thing down on Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan just
Yeah,
got
I remember that duel now.
Obi-Wan got humiliated. It was sad, bro. So then we all
I
agree not we Clone Wars under
Yeah, I
Revenge
could
of the
change
Sith.
that. I've had a theory that uh Emperor Palpatine actually, messed with Count Dooku a little bit in that duel, like tried to weaken him a little bit because he wanted Anakin to win.
I think so too.
So that could be another thing. But,
If
I would
only Dooku
agree,
told him about his plot, Palpatine's plot.
since we don't know, I would agree that actually Revenge of the Sith Anakin is more powerful than Star Wars: The Clone Wars Anakin, since I put this list together in like 30 seconds. I didn't really think about it, but now we get the chance to. So yes, I would agree that change. Um,
And then we go Padawan Anakin
yeah, obviously, I mean, he is going to be a lot more powerful than Tatooine Anakin is, so
because he has
he
more.
has to go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then
back,
10th place is obviously Tatooine Anakin.
yeah, and then we go back to 5 and 6. So
Yeah,
we
so
have to come to a agree to disagree here, sort of. Well, we have to. Here's how I'm gonna do it. We have to. I want the same list. So let's look at it for force power. Only force power, nothing else. Force power, I say, is Anakin Nightfall Vader because he just has more force abilities to be able to use because he's not limited by the suit.
yeah, but have you seen Darth Vader pull the ship or stop the ship from escaping and just
Oh
chuck it into
right.
the ground?
I feel like he could have been so much more powerful if he tried. Like you can tell in Empire Strikes Back, he was going easy on Luke. You could tell easy on Luke. Like if
Yeah.
he wanted to, Luke would have been dead sooner. I don't think he
Uh-huh.
ever actually tried to kill somebody except for in the Obi-Wan series against Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think he did in Revenge of the Sith.
Well, other
I
than
think he tried to
I
kill
meant as
Obi-Wan
actual
there
Darth
too.
Vader. I meant as actual Darth Vader.
Oh, it's actually not there. You know, in the original writing of Star Wars, George Lucas wanted Obi-Wan to have an affair with Padme, and then it would make Anakin hate him even worse. Like that was the original storyline.
Bro, that would have been sick, honestly. But in Star
It
Wars: The
would have
Clone Wars,
been,
we see
but
Obi-Wan having an affair with Duchess Satine,
yeah, and then she dies, and then everyone Obi-Wan loves dies. So,
and yet he's still a good person.
like, if anyone could have been like created into something like Darth Vader, it honestly should have been Obi-Wan. Like Obi-Wan lost more than Anakin did.
Well, yes, but we also have to look at the point of view where Obi-Wan didn't have any physical attachments when he was brought into the Order. He grew him as he was in it. Anakin had an attachment
Yeah,
outside of
to
the
his
Order
mom.
before he was joined in.
Well,
Like he had
actually,
he had his friends and his mom and like people around him. Like he had
although,
attachments, huh?
do we know where Obi-Wan actually came from? Because the
No.
majority of the Jedi were just inducted into the Order.
Yeah. Well, also Anakin, he didn't know attachment was illegal in Jedi, so he started to form an attachment on Padme too. So he had all these attachments before he went to enter the Order.
Hmm.
So we also have to look at that. So I
Yeah.
have World Between Worlds, Full Potential, Mortis, Dark Dimension, Darth Vader, uh, Nightfall Vader, Anakin, Revenge of the Sith Anakin. We got Clone Wars Anakin, Padawan, and Tatooine.
So what'd you say for 5 and 6 again? I was getting back to the tier list.
Vader and Nightfall.
Vader the Nightfall.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's exactly what I have on my list right now.
My list totally changed because of you.
Yeah, my top spot's changed.
Well, I think
Um,
I think we're done with the tier list, right?
yes, I think that is
Well, but let's wrap.
everything ranked, and we agree on everything now.
Yep. I say we wrap things up and let's I need just a couple shout outs. Shout out to Hoover Games for helping edit this video, as well as Aviator Break and Fire Theory Opens for editing. And then let's do a random subscriber.
And
Shout out
also
to
episode,
shout out to Noob for subscribing. I appreciate your continued interest in my uh channel.
episode 2 will be about all the clone troopers that discovered Order 66.
So remember
So it
to
will
tune into
explain.
that one and watch for that one coming. We're gonna try to do at least a podcast each week. Not gonna happen 100%, but that's around where we're gonna post one. And also look for my channel. I'm about to make a new Star Wars edit about Ahsoka. I have a couple more Ahsoka on Star Wars edits you should look at too.
Okay, well, I think that's it.
Thank you for tuning in, and if you stayed for the entire video, thank you. We really appreciate it. Well, see you in the next one. And remember, stay curious about across the galaxy. See ya.